Can you help me out? Spare change?
Do you recognize that guy? That's actually me with a beard glued to my face. I'd heard that panhandlers can make enough money begging, often more than $100 a day, so that they don't bother looking for jobs. So can you really make that much? I tested the theory. At first I tried the basic homeless and cold, anything will help sign. After half an hour I switched to this sign.
Can I get a beer?
I'd seen beggars trying this more honest, or you might say funny approach. I didn't think anyone would give this guy money, but I was wrong.
Thank you. I just begged for an hour, but I did well. If I did this for an 8-hour day, I would have made $90. 23,000 for a year. Tax-free.
I was smiling there, but it's really no joke. I did make that much and thought it was a good introduction to the topic of freeloading. But some viewers called my doing it disgusting. On a Media Matters blog, Indigo wrote, "What I did was obscene. Stossel acts as if homeless people are pulling a lucrative scam." Well, they are, say Steve Malanga and Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute. They've studied panhandling. It's a lucrative scam.
Well, certainly in many cases, the people who are doing it aren't actually homeless, as a number of studies have shown. They're actually living at home, as investigations have shown. And yes, they are taking money from you and then turning right around and using it to...
But lucrative scam? These are largely poor people.
Well, they're poor because they choose not to work, at least in the case of the young punks that I studied in San Francisco. These are able-bodied, full mental capacity kids who should be out there working. And if you don't work, yes, you're going to be poor, but that's a completely voluntary situation they put themselves in.
And you've also written, and we have a clip on this, that they have a deep-seated sense of entitlement. So here's more from the Freeloaders show. Panhandling as a job is common in some places. Here in San Francisco, packs of young, healthy kids beg for spare change. Spanging, they call it.
Gotta survive, you know. Gotta eat, gotta drink.
An art student from Stanford interviewed some of the kids.
Wake up in the morning, and start drinking, go to bed, do it again. That's pretty much it.
So you portray this as kids having fun, but my emails are saying this is distorted. You just picked a few isolated examples.
Oh, John, it's a whole culture out there. These are kids that find it cool to ask other people to give them money. To me, this is a very worrisome sign about the sense of entitlement in our culture. It tells me that the welfare rights movement of the 1960s that tried to remove all stigma from being on the dole was fantastically successful, because these kids feel no shame about the basic philosophy which is you have more money than I do, therefore we're going to tip the field and I deserve it. I think this is really a pathetic mindset that these young kids have.
Okay, the young kids. I see people begging who are not young kids. I assume some of the beggars are truly desperate, needy, maybe homeless people.
Well, we have a whole array of social services in many cities to address the needs of precisely those people, and we have traditional charities in addition to government that does that. And in fact, many charities will tell you, don't give to the homeless on the street because you don't even know how they're using the money.
Instead, you're doing a bad thing by giving. You're enabling their alcoholism
them.
Or their drug habit.
Right. So the only way we think that we're in some way depriving them is if we ignore this entire social service apparatus that we have in our society that's designed to serve those people.
But some people would say you guys are just heartless conservatives who are spinning it this way.
I think
the Manhattan Institute is a conservative group.
It has nothing to do with being heartless or being conservative. It has to do with a unblinkered look at the reality that people who do need help, who are mentally ill or physically ill, are not getting it on the streets. What they're getting is a no strings attached fund in order to get high and drunk.
So I think I'm doing something humane by giving them something.
You're not. You're merely perpetuating their condition. And there are costs beyond the individuals, which is cities are dragged down when you have that degree of urban squalor. And people are right to fear that some panhandlers pose a threat. People who are mentally ill and are not getting treatment have higher rates of violence than the population.
So just walk on by.
Walk on by, and if you want to suggest, go to your local soup kitchen, which in most cities are ubiquitous. You can do that.
All right, you can't. It's really hard to starve in America, in any city.
The poor, obviously in America, are obese. Starvation is not our problem.
Thank you, Heather McDonald, Steve Malanga. Both of them write for City Journal, which is filled with serious research I don't see anywhere else. Recommend it. Coming up, my next guest says I smeared him and his legitimate company. His company helps people walk away from mortgages even if they can afford to pay them. Did I smear him? You decide. That's next.